We are back. We are so back.
New setup again.
Setup changes constantly.
We are actually in the process of trying to get an actual studio, furnishing a new studio. So
I know, but it's just there's other things that are more important at the minute.
So we're now at, what did I say? Season 2, episode 3. It's been 2 months since the season started. So
I know, but we're doing
the vlogs,
normal day-to-day stuff.
Yeah,
Podcasts.
The content
busy.
The content's
Academy
busy.
stuff, which has been busy.
Yeah.
Lots of busy stuff going on. Sometimes it's hard to carve out. If I'm in London, if you're in London, it's sometimes difficult to carve out a specific time in the week all the time to do the podcast. So if you don't get it done at the start of the week, then it's impossible to post it on a Thursday.
Yeah.
So if you can only record on a Wednesday or a Thursday or a Friday, then obviously you can't post.
Yeah.
For the Thursday. But
this is our first time fully solo, as in it's just me and you. We're responsible for the camera, the sound,
the whole bit.
So and the amount of people who ask for a podcast, they ask for a day in the life, we give them a day in the life, and then they want the podcast. So we're giving the podcast. This better be a good performance.
I also feel like people ask for what they don't get as well. You could do 100,000 podcasts and then people go, we want the day in the life, and then you do 100,000 day in the lives and people say we want the podcast. So it's difficult. We've not got a massive crew behind us that we can just shoot and film every single part of our day. So it's one of those things.
It's literally the two of us. But today is Thursday, so as soon as we're done, I'm going to try and chop it.
I know, it's just difficult, isn't it? Because they take so long to render the videos.
The hardest thing is the export. I know. Here for about 4 hours trying to export it. But anyway, we'll see how we go on. So, first one in 2025.
First pod of 2025?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
What I think we should maybe do is we should maybe start with some pet peeves and some quick fire questions again.
I did see, just to jump in, we did see a parking attendant this morning who, it's one of those professions that I don't think you could pay me 250 grand a year to be a parking attendant, but there was a guy this morning out working, Glasgow City Council, and he must have went and got it made. He had a Glasgow City, I'll insert the picture in this podcast, he had a Glasgow City Council themed mask on to keep him warm, and I'm there's no way they've handed that out. He's definitely went on to Etsy or something and created that and got it printed out, and I was just as much as that profession is hated as it is, can you imagine a guy giving you a ticket with a Glasgow City Council mask on?
Absolutely.
You'd be mate, honestly.
They were doing one of them lift the car up as well. So.
I know, the whole thing they've started doing in the West End now, where they're just you're not allowed to fucking park anywhere.
Yeah. Even outside.
A few years ago they reduced it to you can't park on it, you need to pay for parking on a Sunday. It used to be free on a Sunday in Glasgow. You park anywhere for free on a Sunday. Now you can't park anywhere. They've got you every which way you turn.
And then the fines have also increased.
Fines have increased as well. Honestly, government does my tits in.
Well, let's on the pet peeves, Starbucks prices.
Yeah. Mate, it's £4.50 for a coffee now.
Well, William's kind enough, and 9 times out of 10 he's buying the coffees. He goes, do you fancy a pastry? Do you fancy a re-roll? You're 20 quid every time we go and get a Starbucks.
I think if you get a Starbucks and a pastry for 2 people, should be under a tenner.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it should be more than a tenner. Now it's £8 odd for the coffee, and you're another... mate, do you know the cake pops? Which is a ball of cake on the end of a lollipop are £2.50. I swear you could go and buy a full cake for that.
But also, if you do go
from a Sainsbury's, you could definitely buy a full cake for £2.50.
But if you're going in there at night, they're all there in the counter still. No one's buying them because the prices are ridiculous.
I think I bought one once and I was I cannot believe that was £2.50 for them.
I know exactly, you did buy them. So that was the first one. Second pet peeve, we're talking about a shit brush.
A toilet brush?
A toilet brush.
Sometimes they are necessary, but they are disgusting.
They are absolutely vile. And you go to a restaurant and you can, if you're going for a piss in the cubicle, right, and you can see the shit brush there, you're that thing must have seen some shit in all of its life. And sometimes you can actually see...
Well, it is a shit brush.
It is a shit brush. Right, we'll go into some quick fire questions, right? Death row meal. Start, main, dessert. It's got to be quick.
We've done this before, but I'm going to do...
Yeah, but your answer changes quite a lot.
Mushroom brioche with truffle. Main course I'm doing Like veal saltimbocca and dessert, I'm doing apple pie and ice cream, or I'm having meringue strawberries and ice cream.
Any musician, well, I'll give you two. Any dead musician you can see live, who would you see?
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I think I would second that. A live musician?
Don't know, man. I seen Chris Brown last year, but Usher probably.
Usher, yeah. See, I think you'd go someone like Frank Ocean, which is like, he's probably never going to perform again, and he's still alive. So.
No, I'd probably say Usher. Just because, like, when you see him online and stuff doing his performances in Vegas, they always look amazing.
Yeah. You've got a 4-ball, any golf course you want. What's the golf course you're picking?
Obviously, Augusta.
And then what 3 people are you playing with?
You'd have to play with your pals, I think. So
What? No.
Yeah, you would, because it would be. You wouldn't even enjoy it. Because imagine you playing with like Tiger Woods or something like. It wouldn't even be enjoyable. You'd be so nervous. Whereas if you could just go and play with like 3 of your pals, it'd be such a laugh. It'd be such a good occasion. Like you could have such an amazing fun time. Like I'd just play with the boys. I think. I don't think I'd play with like a pro, because it's embarrassing. You know, it's like even sometimes when you play golf, like someone that's like a +2 or a +3 handicap. Like we've played a couple rounds of Connor, and he's like very good, and you're nervous.
Yeah. Well, I get.
You want to have a good time. Like you don't want to. I'm not taking golf seriously, so.
Yeah, I actually think I get more nervous when I'm playing a good course, not with who I'm playing with.
Yeah.
Like we went to Loch Lomond and I was on the tee box and I topped it.
I know, but that is hard. That is tough. Like if you're not used to that tee box, it's hard.
Yeah, they all called you over, and then all the members are there pure watching you swing. Yeah, I didn't enjoy that.
I actually think seeing some golf courses like that should potentially be. They shouldn't really have that. Mm-hmm. Like it's nerve wracking, isn't it? Like
just
when you're
put a big
teeing off.
bush up around the tee box.
Like what's the point in having 50 members standing there watching you when you're trying to just tee off and enjoy yourself? Like there's nothing worse than fucking slicing one off the first and it's right into the bushes. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you can have no nerves and hit a good drive, like you're off to a good start. Yeah. So then it gives you a bit of momentum. I think when you flick the first one, you're just like, oh, here we go. Like, what another.
Well, we got to the first tee box, and the boy that we were playing with, he's a member at Loch Lomond, and he was like, right, so who's going first? I assumed he would have been going first.
He did go first.
No, he didn't. He went, let's flip the tee. And I was like, right, okay, well, I fancy my chances. 1 of 3. No, it landed straight on me, and that was like, my legs were going, my hands were going. Anyway, deviating. Best football boots of all time.
Do you know, I just got those new Preds and I really, really love them.
Yeah, I'll give the red Predators.
Yeah, I really, really like them. But I mean, the best ones of all time, CTRs, I think.
CTR 360s. I back you on that.
They got to bring them back.
Yeah. Best football kit of all time.
I really love that new Real Madrid one they had on the other night playing City. I think it's cool. Yeah. I think that's probably my favourite modern day last 2 or 3 years. But the best kit of all time, I love that blue Man United one. Yeah. That Ronaldo wore when he scored that free kick. Yeah. It was like Nike.
ARG. Yeah. And the best ball of all time. It's going to be hard.
Yellow Nike purple circle.
Total 90.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I included that is because I think they've been doing it for like 20 years. Nike have done the Premier League ball, which are now, they're not doing.
Puma, right?
Yeah, it's going to Puma, which is obviously all about
See Michael Arteta like moaning about it.
I mean, he moans about every football played under the sun. But yeah, fuck Puma. We're here for Nike. Let's do a quick recap. So like I say, first one of 2025. How was your 2024 selling watches, business, life?
Really good, actually. Probably one of the best. Probably the best year we've ever had. Strange time, probably, in the watch game. I think everything kind of levelled off last year and was probably consistently similar price point for the entire year, which is good and bad at the same time. There's obviously not as much drama or excitement when prices aren't fluctuating as much and you don't have as much opportunity to take advantage of things that are going up or things that are going down. But yeah, just as a general consensus on the year, really good. I think we've done really well. Sold loads of watches, more than we ever have done before, so that's always a good thing.
Yeah, and I mean the inquiries and I think the brand exposure last year was huge.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that, sorry, I'm just getting back to one of my customers.
A lot of the inquiries we're getting are guys from overseas, which isn't ever ideal, but it's good that we're now worldwide, essentially.
Yeah, I think that was probably a goal for the last few years, was trying not to pigeonhole ourselves in the city that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's only so many people that can buy X level of watches in the city that you live in, and you want to be trying to sell the big, cool, rare stuff. That's just always what's got me out of my bed in the morning. So I think trying to be a bit more global, be a bit more all across the UK, I think has probably been a goal for us for the last few years. So it's exciting now because we get to go all over the world and travel and buy and sell watches. But yeah, I think it's sometimes like guys message you and they're trying to buy stuff and they're in like Oklahoma. You're like, oh mate, it's not going to work. But it's part and parcel of it. Like, we've done so much business in Europe last year. Done so much business all over the UK last year. So yeah, no, it's been really good.
Dubai's really started to come over to the UK market. I think they're seeing that prices are so much more expensive over that side of the world than they are in the UK.
It's difficult now. I think talking nowadays with inquiries that we've got, that stuff's really thin on the ground. It's hard to find stuff. I mean, I've been looking for a Bruce Wayne Jubilee for 2 weeks. Can't find one. Loads of other stuff that you would usually be able to find or have 2 or 3 options to be able to offer clients. You're just not getting anywhere near the level of responses back from suppliers. So
what is that? Do you think that's other dealers who aren't stocking watches?
I think it's loads of different factors. Obviously, Rolex put their prices up by a huge chunk at the start of the year.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Which inevitably means that I think maybe less watches are coming to the grey market. But yeah, I just think it's a bit of a funny time, January, February, before Baselworld and stuff like that is kind of, stuff does seem a little bit thinner on the ground. And obviously coming into 2025, maybe not a lot of watches have been sold this year yet. So you might start to see a little drip through the next few weeks of stuff coming to the market. But yeah, there's definitely not a lot of stuff at all, especially a massive shortage in 2025 stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll take that on to my next point. The stock you're getting as well, I mean, I think we might have touched on it on the last one, but we'll go over it again because it's even more impressive probably over the last 6 months. You've really changed with how you're buying. You need to be Iron Man to open that one. Yeah, your stock levels have really changed. You're now buying just whatever you like. Stuff that is like super hard to find. Yeah. You're not going to be able to find
I think it's
anything.
difficult. You have to bridge the gap between what makes good business sense and what's going to sell, and that's probably where I feel like I don't make the best decisions all the time, is I buy stuff that I really like rather than thinking, right, well, what can we buy that's going to sell the quickest? You know, at the end of the day, as a business, you can't just buy what you like all the time, but it is nice to buy things that you like. But I think it's difficult trying to, you know, play both sides of that, where you want to buy stuff that you like because it's cool and it's easier to market and you get more eyes on it, but you also want to buy the stuff that sells, like your average Rolex stuff, you know, your mid-tier Rolex stuff, like all that stuff sells. It's just not as exciting.
Yeah, it doesn't get you out of bed. Like you bought that gold AP, which you messaged me and said, do you think I should buy this? Like, can you check like prices online? I looked and I was just like, mate, I can't see this fucking watch anywhere. I don't know, you should buy this. And you're like, I bought it, and I was like, oh, fantastic.
No, that was
but then look at the money that you're able to make on something.
Yeah, like that. I mean, you take a risk on stuff like that for sure. You've got no real comparables, so you're buying something and marketing it to like a bit of an untested, you know, pool of people. People are either going to love it or they're going to think it's too expensive, or they're maybe going to think, yeah, don't know if I would pay that for that watch. With the comparison, like you can buy 15202 Roses now at like 70k. That's a really modern watch. You're looking at something 2002, 2003 that's nearly 3/4 of the price of that. You can sometimes be in a little bit of unknown territory when you're buying stuff like that, but sometimes you just need to take the punt. It sounded cheap and I really liked it, and I wore it a few times, and yeah, it was good.
Yeah. I was going to say something else on that as well. It was a good point. But even now, like, I think people are coming to us for like the stock that, because they see us getting some pieces so unique that you're looking for that 5260, is it? The Patek?
Yeah, the
That guy's come to you because...
Is that the reference of that watch? 5260?
I think it's 5260. Rose gold with... What are the diamonds?
Yeah, it's like sapphires and diamonds, baguette diamonds. I mean, that's a super hard watch to find, but you know, you're talking like north of $5 million for that watch.
What does it retail at?
retails at like 2 point something.
2.6, I think it was. Yeah.
Super rare watch. It's only been out a few years, but sells for more than double retail. So cool watch to have. Whether that happens or not, God knows.
But that's cool as well. Like people are coming to you with these pieces that.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, really, because what you do is by selling and marketing the harder to get stuff, you do sacrifice a little bit of the lower end stuff. Lots of customers subconsciously maybe think, oh, they don't really sell that stuff anymore, so I'm not going to offer it to them. But we still do sell lots of Rolex as well, but we just don't push every single Rolex that comes through the door on our social stuff, because we just feel like we don't want to make the social stuff too busy. We just want to make it like a video every single day, something really cool that hopefully we can do well. But I think it's a double-edged sword, because selling the cool, amazing, rare stuff then does make people think that that's all you do. Yeah. When it's not, obviously.
Yeah. And again, I think you had the Elite AP, we got the Cartier Cloche. Now those are like two watches that I think if you've got to be kind of looking for that watch in order to pull the trigger on it.
It's a difficult watch as well. Like the Elites, for example, it's 26240 BA, I think the reference is, so it's yellow gold. But like it's a big watch. You're asking over 100k for that watch. It's 200 pieces. There's no real way of guaranteeing any sort of future value on that watch. Like if a scandal comes out about Alix as a brand, then the value of that watch could plummet. So it's hard to try to convince a client, your money's going to be safe in this watch, when really they've only been out for a year and a half, and you can't really compare it to anything else in the market. Like you're looking at Rose chronographs now at kind of 70s, 75s, so it's a good chunk more than that. And those are the most popular models in that range. So
yeah, but it's more like if you are looking for those watches, and you're asking, not even us, if you're asking other dealers, you're now the only person probably in the UK to have those two watches. Yeah, so people now know that.
Yeah, I mean the Cloche, there's a couple of dealers I think that have got one, but I think the Alix for sure. I think the chronograph one was the only one in the UK.
Yeah. Also the Academy, so that's now in full swing, as some of you might have seen the content or been on the website. Full swing. How are you finding that so far?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's another part of our day that you end up getting swallowed up doing loads of Academy stuff, and then you end up not being able to do other stuff. But no, it's exciting. It's good to see people move through the course at their own pace, because we can actually see on the portal like how far people are through the course. Like it could be on like module 2, like module 3. We had a guy the other day that was like failing the quiz on module 4, and we were like,
it was module 1.
Oh, was it module 1? We were like, you need to pay attention to what's going on, otherwise you can't get through to the next module, which is a little bit of a fail-safe for us to make sure that people aren't just clicking. Oh yeah, that's me done module 10, right? Or just get me into the groups and whatever else. People, it's there to give you knowledge, but you also need to take that knowledge in. Like the quiz isn't fucking hard. Like it's not, oh my God, how am I ever going to know the answer to that? Like if you've read and paid attention to the 10-minute video, you'll be able to answer the questions. It's like pretty easy. But it just makes sure that people are paying attention to what's happening, and make sure that when they get to the end of the course, they're not going to be asking stupid, silly questions that have already been covered throughout the course. So no, it's cool, it's exciting. I mean, we've had some guys obviously that are looking for stuff now, that are trying to sell stuff to their clients, and had a couple of guys that have done some first deals and stuff like that, which has been really exciting for people. So it's working well, it's going well. I think this year's January, February is a little bit of slow months. Obviously Christmas has just came, and people are maybe finding money a little bit tight, so it's trying to convince people of the initial investment and how that can,
and there's real value in it,
translate to actually creating some value in their lives. And 1,500-1,600 quid, to give you a whole band of knowledge that can enable you to sell watches for the rest of your life is really a very minuscule investment in comparison to what you can get from the other end. And you can make that back on one deal. All of a sudden you've got all that knowledge for free. But you're not only giving people the knowledge, you're also asking someone for the commitment to actually go ahead and do the course. And a lot of people maybe get a little bit intimidated by that, and intimidated by the fact that I wasn't good at school, I'm not great at learning. But it's really easy. Like there's a whole A4 PDF document that you get with every single one. You can read through that. It's a 12-minute video. It's all animated. You can see the whole thing. It's really, really, really easy. It's not a super difficult, intense, detail-driven course that you're going to be like sore head after you do it. You could do a module on your way to work and a module on your way back from work, and you could complete the course in 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
So no, I'm really proud of it. We've actually had some dealers reach out that have got staff members that are joining, and they've put their staff members through the course to give them like a base level of knowledge as to how they can start, which is an application I never really seen coming, to be honest. I never really thought that other dealers would look on that and say that would be a really good point of like education where I can give that to one of my students, not one of my students, sorry, and give that to one of my one of my fresh employees and say like, go through that in your own time, and that'll give you a good base, kind of where to start from, what to ask for, what to look for, and it gives them a kind of basic level of knowledge so that then they know what things are, they know what they're talking about when they're starting work. So that was a really cool application. We've also had lots of like guys that have been selling watches for 3 or 4 years that maybe are just interested in a little bit more knowledge and a little bit more on how to build a brand and how to get social media exposure and how to understand brand awareness and how to create a cohesive brand across all the social media platforms. Like all that stuff we take for granted because we've been doing it for so long. But all that stuff is valuable information for people. So we've had loads of different guys, colleagues of mine, non-colleagues of mine, students. There's loads of different people that have done it. So it's exciting.
I was going to say it's cool as well because the inquiries you get coming in when people are asking questions is like such a diverse kind of inquiry pool that you're getting. So you are getting the guys who've retired. You are getting the guys that are still in college. Getting the guys that don't know whether they want to go to uni. You've got the guys that already have a business that they're looking at.
This is about a Patek deal. Just one sec.
Yeah.
Hi mate, you okay? Josh. His name's Josh actually. Why is he not answering? Josh.
Hello.
Come back. Sorry, one sec. It's just quite importante. Probably won't answer now. How can you phone someone, miss the call, they phone you back 1 second later?
My mum is the worst at that.
What's the point in that? Anyway, we'll call me back.
So yeah, I was just talking about the inquiry pool. It's good seeing such like a diverse, which is effectively what the course was set up to be. It was, there's no one it's targeted.
There's no one specific person that works for it. It works for everyone, but since we launched it, there's been definitely some new applications that have come through that
didn't expect
that we didn't expect it to make sense for.
And it's also cool as well. It is very personal. You doing the course, and everyone who's enrolled and done the course, like we speak to on like a regular basis, and the feedback has genuinely been like super positive. I think the only negative thing you get, which isn't even negative, is they now want that like personal touch. They don't really want to be in a group chat with 30 other people that have also enrolled. They actually say, I'd actually rather come to you direct, or me direct, or any questions, or if I'm looking for. So maybe that's something where we'll start to look at.
Yeah, it's also just easier. Like people don't want to ask questions in a group, thinking that potentially that could be a silly question.
Yeah.
So you often get people coming to you direct, but it's easier. People should just pick the phone up.
So I think that's probably the route we'll now probably start to go down. But yeah, that's the course, so you should be very proud of it though. No,
it's cool, it's exciting. I think good push this year and try and get a bit more exposure on that side of things. We've just been busy doing other things, so it's not been at the forefront of our marketing plan.
Yeah, no, it will be now. What was the best deal of last year for you?
Best meaning
like
what?
You sold a watch. What was like the most memorable deal? It doesn't even have to be.
Yeah, it was cool. The Yellow Gold AP deal we done was cool.
Yeah.
Just because you kind of take a punt on something like that and it turns out to be really well.
Yeah.
Again, not a watch you're going to find every day. It's not going to be something that you're going to be able to buy and sell every 5 minutes. So not cool. Enjoyed wearing that watch. Enjoyed getting some content with it. Enjoyed who I sold it to. Actually a cool French guy. So he'll wear it, and yeah, I'll probably see some interiors of some cool hotels and some cool places and go on some cool holidays, and people will probably be complimenting him for the next however long he's wearing it. So no, I like that one. That was a cool deal.
So we spoke about the market of 2024. How are you finding it now? So now like mid-February?
Yeah, mid-February now. The market's funny. Lots of inquiries, not a lot of stock. So I think there'll kind of always tends to happen a little bit of a holdback on stock before Watches and Wonders, just to make sure that there's a good appetite for new stuff when that event comes around. So I do expect there to be a slight increase in prices just because there's really not a lot of stock on the ground at all. So yeah, I think it's been good. Loads of inquiries still, just not being able to find lots of stuff.
Yeah. I was going to say change the way you're buying, but we've already touched on that. We sold a Pepsi as well not long ago. That was quite an interesting sale. So
yeah. So we also done. We don't really sell stuff without boxing papers. It's not really something that we ever try to sell, just because we've always found it difficult to get over that stigma of having a watch without box of papers. Now, obviously in America, they refer to them as naked watches, but in America they're sold just as often as watches with papers are sold. But in the UK there's like this massive stigma across buying a watch without papers, like people that look on it as if you're like buying a fake watch. But so I think it's trying to change that narrative a little bit and convince people of the value. And we had a Pepsi and sold it for 12 grand. You know, they're retailing at
cheapest on earth.
They're retailing at 15-ish plus, give or take, 500 quid. So if you can realise a discount of 20% on a watch just because it's got no card, then I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think the problem arises when you get dealers trying to sell stuff for 10% under what it would be if it has a card. A lot of people just say, well, I'd rather just buy it with a card and spend the extra 1,500 quid. Whereas if you can say to someone, like, you're getting 2.5 grand off this watch, you can have it for 12 grand rather than 15 and a half, or 14 and a half, or 15 grand, then I think a lot of people would do that. And you get the same watch on your wrist for 3.5 grand cheaper than you would normally. So it makes a lot of sense, but it needs to make sense in terms of the numbers. If you're trying to sell a watch 10% under what you can buy it with boxing papers, it doesn't make loads of sense.
I mean, we could have sold that watch 30 times over at that price. The inquiries were crazy. It literally lasted, like 20 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, I posted it on the story. It was like buying 12 grand. I must have had 100 messages straight away. Yeah. And a guy was like, yeah, I'll take it.
And then even over like 3 days, people are like, is this still available? Absolutely not. It's long gone now.
Next day,
you've had a lot of questions come to you recently about prices online, like whether or not you're looking to buy something, you give someone an offer and they come back almost insulted. I think they're seeing prices from Chrono.
Yeah, I had a guy yesterday with a 15202 blue dial that was from 2016. He's seen the prices online at 50 grand plus. I wouldn't want to be given any more than 35 grand for that watch just now. It's a slow seller. It's 2016. It's nearly 10 years old. They're online at 50 grand, for a 2023 or a 2024. But the problem is, you see people online, they're thinking, I could get 42, 43 grand for that. I'm like, you can't, because I'm going to have to sit on that watch for 3 months. It's not going to sell quickly. I'm going to need to have a 20% margin on that watch if I'm spending 30 odd grand to buy it. So it's difficult trying to convince people that we're not trying to take their pants down. But every dealer's the same. Like, no one's going to offer that guy that kind of money for that watch. So it doesn't matter if he shops around.
Yeah.
He's still going to struggle to get that value.
And then even some of the watches on Chrono, people don't actually have the watch.
Yeah, they're non-existent really. A lot of them don't exist. Or a lot of them have been on there at that price for 3 years.
Yeah, and sometimes, like William says, stock's really hard to find at the minute. So if we are really looking for something, even I'll maybe jump on and I'll message like a few guys. 95% come back and go, we don't have that.
Or they say it's sold, or like we've just left the listing up to see if people keep their interest, or we sold that 3 weeks ago or whatever.
So maybe don't read into online prices.
But no one's that's never going to stop. People are going to be looking on Chrono 24 until the cows come home. It's just it's a good way to price the stuff that you've got.
And another thing which was absolutely barbaric was the Farfetch. So Farfetch have now sold watches. Yeah, they've
been selling watches for ages. But I actually have a funny story about a guy. I got a phone call yesterday when I was in the gym in the morning from a woman, and she was saying, I'm not going to name the jewellers, but it's in the Argyle Arcade in Glasgow, and they've been there for a long time. And they sold a guy a 36 mil, the steel and yellow gold date just from 1995, a year and a half ago, for 8,750 quid, right? Honestly, I nearly fell off my chair when she told me that. I was like, £8,750 in 1995. She was like, yeah, what would you pay for it? I'm like, 4 grand. Now, I don't understand for the life of me how they get away with it. And she actually said he's phoned the jewellers back to see what they'll pay him back for it, and they said 4.5 grand. So they have sold that guy that a year and a half ago, 8,750 quid. He's phoned them back a year and a half later, and they've offered him 4.5 grand for it.
Half his money.
Those watches haven't moved in a year and a half. Price points never have moved. Mm-hmm. So they'll buy that back in at 4.5 and put it back on at 8.5, 8,750. How is that? How can people be okay with that? Why do people still go there? It's the most expensive shop in the world.
Yeah.
Why do people still buy them? They go in there, they pay the money, they come out, it's worth 10 grand less.
Yeah.
That guy's half the value of his watch. He would have half that value of his watch had he been in there, left, and do you know what else? They gave him a fake Rolex box. The dial in the watch was aftermarket. It's not even an original diamond dial.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, it's not even an original diamond dial. So the guy walks in, 36mm steel and yellow gold date just in the window with a diamond dial, 8,750 quid, right? So the guy buys it. It's got an aftermarket dial, so the dial is effectively worth 50 quid. So you need to put a new dial in it to make the watch worth anything. They don't even give him an original Rolex box. It's a fake Rolex box they give him. So it's just a green box, no branding, no nothing, just a box that looks like a Rolex box with no branding on it. So they've probably paid 4 and a bit grand for that watch. They've sold it to him for 8,750 quid. They can't even give him a Rolex box with it. And it's got a fake dial. So I was like, mate, I'd pay 4 grand for that watch. Can I need to buy a 500 quid dial for it? It's going to stand me in 4.5. I'm going to sell it for 5.5. Like and it was battered as well.
Yeah,
like
it doesn't come with a box. It's
like,
mental. The whole
and it was really battered. I'm like, how did they get away with that? And then you've got people battering down the door at us because they've lost 500 quid in fucking 2 years and they've never had the watch on. I'm like, mate, go in there and buy your watches. Like, they'll look after you. I'm like, honestly, every single time I walk past a window, I'm like, it is daylight robbery.
Yeah.
It's like stuff is 25% more expensive than it should be.
I think I know the shop you're talking about, and they sell other stuff besides watches, right?
Yeah, they sell loads
So
of
I think
stuff.
you get that kind of older generation who have maybe been going there for years. Their parents have been going there and they've not been to buy a watch, but they'll go and buy stuff and go, oh, you know that, I know that place and it sells a couple of watches. You should go in there and just have a wee look. And then they go in and they have no idea about prices or how they should be priced. Oh yeah, that's nice, I'll get that. They get it and then
it's just honestly, it baffles me how people manage to buy their stuff from there.
Yeah, so we'll talk
especially when they're offering them half the price that they paid a year and a half ago. What a way to alienate a customer. So do they have any repeat business or they have none? They just have new customers.
Maybe it's this whole they don't really know, and maybe people have so much money to burn that they go, oh, okay, yeah.
I don't think they do though. People don't have that kind of money to burn. They don't have 50% of their money to lose every time they buy something cool.
Yeah, it's mental. We'll talk about Rolex price increase. So how is that for the grey market?
Interesting. I think stuff like yellow gold Daytona's gone up something like 7 grand or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I think it's madness, but no doubt the grey market will survive just at a different price point. I think Rolex ADs are struggling to sell anything in precious metal at the minute. Most of it goes under list, apart from Oyster Flex Daytonas, but even some of them go under list. But I think Day Date, Skydweller bracelet, Skydweller, Oyster Flex, yellow gold Daytonas, like all that stuff goes under list now. So how are they convincing their clients to buy that sort of stuff? They're not.
Yeah. Because
clients don't want to lose 6-7k on buying a watch with no promise that they're going to get anything else. So, and even the stuff that they're getting that's anything else, like Pepsi's or Daytonas and like that, yeah, they sell a bit over list, but it's nowhere near the margins you could make 2 years ago. So no one's willing to take a 7 grand nosebleed to make, 10 or a Daytona 2.5 years later, because what's the point?
Yeah.
So I think clients will just be going to the grey market a bit more to try and find their stuff, and I think that's what's happening. Clients are going to the grey market to find stuff, and there's more buyers, less stock available, and nobody's buying anything new from the shop, so we're not getting any of that influx because the prices are so high.
Yeah.
So
it is interesting, and you're getting more and more people that have realised it's now not worth their time buying from an AD.
I've said this, honestly, I could say this until the cows come home. Why on earth would you go and spend £150,000 on watches in an AD to potentially be offered something 2 years down the line that you were going to make 5 grand on when you've lost 25 grand on all those watches, and you have to outlay that 150k and keep them, because if you find out you've sold one, you'll never get the watch that they've promised you. So you've lost 25 grand to make 5 and you've had to spend 150 in the meantime.
Yeah. I mean, if you were to play the AD game, is there any way you would recommend doing it?
Not now, they've got too many customers now.
Yeah.
So, unless you've got like fuck you money and you're going to go in and buy every Patek in the shop and then order one of those diamond set ones and buy it for 2.5 million, sell it for 5.5 million.
But even if you've got the money, that's still probably like a 5-year minimum game to be playing with an AD.
Yeah, it's difficult now. I think the ADs have got so many customers now because of COVID that it's a very difficult game to play.
I mean, if you can get a watch from an AD, what watch should people be going for?
It's still Daytona, like obviously they're still double list, but but those are the best ones. Obviously GMTs as well.
But in order to get to that, you've got to be taking.
It doesn't really matter.
watches?
Every AD is different, but I think.
Realistically, it's probably like 5 watches to get to a Daytona.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ferrari recently released a thing where they said that you have to spend $20 million to be offered an F50, which is the new like hypercar, Ferrari hypercar, which is crazy. But I think Rolex probably do the same thing. I think all the big brands do. Porsche, Rolex, Ferrari, Lamborghini, they all do the same stuff. But it's starting to get to the point where people are losing so much money on buying the other stuff that it's now becoming not worth it.
Yeah.
To buy the amazing stuff, because you're not earning enough money on the amazing stuff to justify losing all the money on the other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, and I don't know, Rolex putting the prices up, to me, I think it just alienates all their ADs and cuts them off at the knee, because they're not selling that stuff at the current prices. So even if they put them up, how are they going to sell it if they're not selling it at the previous price?
Yeah. I know, I was watching a video of a collector the other day, and he said he's bought over 100 Rolexes in the last 5 years, direct from an AD, all to get one watch, which was the Rainbow Daytona white gold. I mean, that is like... And then even when he got that, the Geneva head office called him, asked him about his lifestyle, vetted him. So they like that is like the ultimate goal of buying.
Yeah, but he'll have broke even probably.
Probably not even.
Do you know what I mean? Like all that money outlaid, all that having to sit in the shops and talk to the guy and fucking speaking to from head office in Geneva to sell you a watch, mate.
Aye.
Why not just cancel that, go and buy the watch in the grey market, you'll have it the next day. You don't need to spend all that time and all that effort chatting up ADs for the last 5 years, and you would have had the watch 5 years ago, and it'll be worth what you paid now.
Yeah, and I think that's where they're getting a lot of the young people as well. They're going, oh, I know, I'm going to go to the shop, my missus is going to come with me, they're going to give me a bottle of champagne, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to buy this Datejust that I'm then going to try and sell instantly, but actually I'm not even going to get my money back for this thing. That is an expensive glass of champagne, and it's not. People are now realising maybe it's not worth it.
The shops don't have any loyalty to you either.
Yeah.
Like, you're just a number on a bit of paper for them. It's not like they care whether you buy something or you don't. The first time you go in, it's, oh, welcome, Mr. Such and Such. Oh, yeah, buying something for your wife. They could give a fuck about you as soon as you walk out that door, because somebody else is walking through the door doing the exact same thing you are. He's probably bought 10 other watches, and there's another guy in front of him that's probably bought 50 watches, and another guy in front of him that's probably bought 100 watches. It's just a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
It just you'll never be the biggest fish in there, and it just doesn't work like that anymore. Because they give stuff to people they like. They don't give it to who deserves it.
The whole thing blows my mind. But why do you think Rolex have put the prices up? Because
they do it every year. I think it's just an inflation thing. They're just so used to putting them up every year that they will. But it's got to come to a head at some point. Like
this was one of the bigger
prices versus the demand. I don't think the demand's going up as quickly as the prices. They're not moving in tandem with each other. So I think it's getting to a point now where the prices are going to have to start to level off until the demand catches up again. There's not a demand for a Skydweller or an Oyster Flex at 36 grand.
No.
There just isn't.
No.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So that watch either needs to get binned because it's not working. But then again, like you look at Yellow Gold Daytonas, I mean, they're selling under list just now. I mean, that's the first time in a while that they have been, and lots of other stuff sells under list
and that's because the prices
prices are so high on stuff like that, but nobody really wants to pay the best part of 50 grand for that watch.
Yeah, and you say prices go up every year, but they don't go up this amount, right?
That was quite a considerable jump, but only on certain, like on gold Daytona went up something like 6 or 7 grand. It was quite a big jump across the board. There was loads of quite random price increases that were like a bigger percentage increase than other stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't make loads of sense, but I think it's just something they do every year. I think it drives a little bit of, you can't afford this, makes people want to aspire to owning it, but they need to be careful because they're getting to the stage where the stuff's becoming so expensive that it's putting people off buying it rather than making people interested in buying it, because they're then looking at other brands or looking at used stuff or looking at alternatives.
I mean, and I think
car market's the same. Exact same. Like, look at brand new SVR, Range Rover, 185 grand. Like, they're selling for 140 now. Who's buying that at 185, losing the 45? Just for what? For the sake of doing it? Like, no one's doing that. No. Even the big Range Rovers, like, I know a guy the other day, 25% off a brand new one. Like, 25% off. What's the point in having your retail? Why would you have your retail price at that point if you're giving a discount? Surely that's bad management. Surely that's bad for your brand. If you're having to discount what you're selling, then surely that means that you're not selling enough, and they're not selling at that price point. So why wouldn't you just reduce the price to where they're selling at and sell them there?
And sell more.
And sell them there, and that would make, rather than giving people 25% off a brand new car.
That is ridiculous.
So like, it's just, everything's doing the same, like they're offering discount. And I've said before, and I said in a video on TikTok, at the end of the summer last year, I guarantee you Rolex start offering discounts soon, and I think it's going to start happening.
Yeah, we are getting more and more people call up and go, oh, I've been offered this sub, I've been offered this date just. So
even stuff like sub dates aren't really worth buying anymore.
But this is the thing, like people are going, oh, like I'm only buying it to sell it, and you just go, well, don't do it.
Stuff like date just, like people you could earn 1,500 quid off, not anymore, no.
No, yeah.
They're hard to get out of, like they're not as easy to get out of as they once were.
You're buying them pretty much retail, right?
You're buying them for what they sell for.
Yeah.
I want to be given under list for lots of stuff that used to be over list. So
yeah, crazy how it all works. We had a guy on the phone not too long ago, and he told you he had like 3 watches. I think it was like a back girl, a sub, and something else. Like nothing too heavy hit. It might have been a Sky Dweller. And he was like, "Oh, you know, how can I maximise my money? I want to sell this." And you actually turned around and said to him, "You need to condense those. If you want to actually buy something and make some money, condense those. Get one watch that once upon a time was like a crazy high watch. Get something." Sit on that for 6 months and then sell it. So is that what you would kind of recommend now to people if you're trying to, rather than just buying one piece, condense the collection, get out the watches you're in? And
people don't actually realise what they've bought. They've maybe bought 3 Datejusts, they've got a sub steel, they've got a stub steel and gold, and they've got something else. Like all of those watches are losing money the longer you keep them. So the trick is to buy something that has the potential to increase in value, not constantly decrease in value. Because if you buy a sub date today, a year's time it's worth less than it is today.
yeah,
A year's after that it's worth less than it is a year later. A year time after that it's worth less. So they're not going up in value every single year. Not the stuff that once.
right. Sorry about that. Slight technical glitch.
Josh forgot to fucking plug the camera in, so it ran out of battery.
Well, it said it was battery was exhausted.
Anyway, so condensing I think you have to try and condense the collection that you've got into something that has the potential to increase in value. So maybe something that's been discontinued for a little bit of time or has the potential to be discontinued. I think it's worth transferring stuff that's definitely not going up in value into something that has the potential at least.
Yeah. And is there any good buys at the moment? If you could advise anyone to be buying a watch, what watch do you think people should
that's
do?
a massive question.
Let's say you got 15 grand.
You know, I'm never really one to like taking a punt on stuff that has potential to get discontinued, because the reality is no one knows. But I think you know, like sprites are cheap right now. I think left-handed watch, I don't think Rolex will make them for a long time. If they do get discontinued, they'll probably jump to somewhere between 17-ish and 18 grand. I think if you can pick one of them up between 14 and 15, it's certainly a good buy just now.
And then
not saying that they might get discontinued, not saying that I've heard any rumours, but I'm just saying if they do, it's a good buy.
Makes the most sense to discontinue, I suppose.
I think just not something that they're going to make for a long time.
And then let's say 35 grand, jump up a little bit.
Stuff that's just quite thin on the ground at the moment.
That's a good buy for 30, under 30.
Yeah, I mean, but you would probably want to be buying something like the white gold new reference one. I think they're really hard to find, thin on the ground, 126519. I think the reference is really, really difficult to find. Can't find them anywhere. I've been looking for one for a client for ages. Oyster Flex Meteorite Daytona's good value just now, between 50 and 60 grand. I think they are good value. Obviously the material's not going to last forever. They only have a certain amount of it. So I think they are really good value just now. Especially the full bracelet ones. The full bracelet ones are,
and the 5711 white dials, they've come down quite a good.
White dials are down. I mean, I've got a 15202, which is stainless steel jumbo extra thin AP just now. That's like 33 grand. That's the cheapest in the world by about 7 grand. I think that's a really, really good buy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
There's loads of good buys. You just need to look harder. You need to look further back in 2015.
Yeah.
People forget watches have been made since the start of time. So I think you need to look a bit further back. If you can look to some stuff 20 years old, 15 to 20 years old, you can pick up some really, really good bargains.
Yeah. And how are you finding the crypto market, gold market, car market? Do you want to go into each one of those?
I'll stay away from the crypto market because I don't know enough of that. But yeah, the gold market is where obviously gold mega high price at the moment. That's why a lot of the manufacturers are saying that they've put their prices up, obviously. That's just capped because they do it every single year, regardless if the gold price goes up or down.
Yeah.
Car market, some interesting stuff available. I think, stuff like Defender 90s just now, commercial deals are incredible. Such a lot of car for the money. It looks like a 70 grand car and you can pick them up for 500 quid a month.
Yeah.
So I think it really good value. Even stuff like the big Range Rovers now, 70 grand, 75, 80 grand, like for a nice one, I think it's really good value. I think it makes a lot of sense. The problem that's going against it is the cost of the borrowing at the minute. It's just through the roof, and the APRs are crazy. So you're looking at some stuff like 11.9, 10.9 APR, which is mental.
Yeah.
I think the last car that I bought was 4.9 or something.
Yeah. And I mean, you are looking at a new car. You haven't got to go into such detail, but like, is there like a couple cars that you'd like to?
Yeah, I mean, I love the look of the big Range Rovers, just a big blacked out Range Rover with
The
silver
new one.
wheels. I just think that car looks really cool, and it's comfortable, and you can daily it, and it's not going to run you a fortune every time you run it. Other stuff, mate, I love the look of a Defender. I might get a commercial one just to have. I think it makes perfect sense at that kind of number. Other stuff that I love is just too expensive.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoke between the two of us about AMG GT. I think it's an AMG GT. It's the 5-door one.
GT63. Yeah.
And I saw it in the flesh. I was in Marbella last week, and that car is unbelievable.
Amazing car, but sometimes some of them will be 7-8 years old. Like they're not brand spanking new cars, but that is a gorgeous car.
But you could pick something like
but
that.
Still, like the problem with them is the residual value on them from the finance company is terrible. Aye. So the finance is awful. It doesn't stack up well with your interest rate and your APR, and the fact that you've got a shit residual value. Like you're actually paying so much to have that car, more than you probably should have.
Yeah.
So they don't really stack well in finance, but they are an extremely cool car.
Yeah.
One of my favourite cars.
Yeah.
They always have been ever since they came out.
Yeah. Oh, another crazy story. So you've recently moved apartment, and you had a G-Wagon before the current car. Mm-hmm. You sold the G-Wagon down south.
Yeah.
Recently, that car...
Walked out of my apartment 2.5 years later, and it was parked outside my house.
Same Reggie plate.
Same car. Yeah, mad. Someone bought it back up here. So a guy owned it in Manchester, then he must have sold it to someone back up here.
That is mental though. What are the odds?
Crazy, I know.
And then potentially living in your building.
Nah, they weren't, but it was mad.
Yeah, crazy scenario. We'll just go into some fun little topics now. That's
How long have we been recording for?
So it was 40 minutes when it cut out, so we'll give it another 15.
Okay, fine.
It's probably going to take 3 days to export, so try not to drag on too much. Recent TV. I come in sometimes and William tells me what I should be watching, what I shouldn't be watching. You been watching anything good on TV?
Yes. Prime Target.
Wait, is that on
Apple TV?
Because you've got a subscription for every streaming.
Apple TV, Prime Target, 10 out of 10. It's about a guy that's trying to crack prime numbers. I'm kind of quite into that sort of geeky stuff. So a guy that's trying to crack prime numbers and the patterns in prime numbers, and really cool anyway. It's like all to do with the CIA and the NSA and all that. Amazing, really cool. That, and also another one called Presumed Innocent, Jake Gyllenhaal, which is about a guy that gets accused of killing his co-worker, and they're both district attorneys. Cool, very, very good as well. What's Slow Horses? That's good. Have you seen that?
I've not seen anything that you're talking about.
It's on Apple TV. Slow Horses is good. It's about like MI5. That's good as well. What else have we been watching? That's kind of it. Just kind of Apple TV stuff. Not really watching much else.
Like blipped in Yellowstone.
Yeah,
I tell you to watch it.
Can't get into it.
The first 2 episodes are super shit, and then after that it's unbelievable. So highly recommend watching Yellowstone. Yeah. Did you watch the NFL Super Bowl?
I did not.
No, I
not
can't.
One fucking bit interested.
Yeah, I can't get on board with it.
4.5 hours of fucking men running into each other with big plastic suits on.
Nah, give me peace.
Don't get me wrong, like some incredible athletes, but I just can't for the life of me understand that sport.
I mean, I just love the Americans.
It's so stop-start.
Yeah.
So it's like... But
that's where they're making the money though, isn't it? Because it goes straight to ads, and then there's 3 ads, and you're back to the football. It's not even football.
Can't understand how you could watch that on television, never mind go and see it in a stadium and stand in the freezing cold and watch like the Green Bay Packers versus the fucking Paisley Pirates or whoever.
Paisley Pirates,
the Raiders or something like that. I'd be like, honestly, but I think all American sports are like that.
Did you watch Kendrick's performance?
Nah. Not interested in him either.
No, but do you I watch every year the NFL halftime show, even if
I've
it's
seen a little bit of it on TikTok, but I feel like that whole Drake thing is just a bit blown out of proportion.
Yeah,
but Drake's got new music dropping tomorrow.
Party Next Door.
You dig? So
All
I
ready
actually
for
had a little
Valentine's.
snippet of it on TikTok, and it sounds very good.
Yeah, he's posted a music video. Apparently they're making a movie together, like an actual like Hollywood movie.
Sounds very good, but I fully expect Drake to come back with something.
He's just been too quiet, because remember the
That's
Meek
what I
Mill
mean.
stuff?
So, like,
Meek Mill stuff, it was like...
But he's coming back.
Meek Mill will put a track out and literally
But it's coming
within the
back,
hour.
it's coming back with something. See, to be completely honest with you, right? See people that say Kendrick Lamar, like, name him as like one of the best rappers alive. Like, is he? Fuck.
He is good. I wouldn't put him up there with like the top.
I don't think he's in the top 5.
Interesting. Who's your top 5?
Oh God.
Drake has had hip hop in the palm of his hand for...
People say he's not as good though because he's got a ghostwriter.
I don't really care about all of that.
Who cares? He makes good music.
But he's literally been like, he's had music industry in like a chokehold for since like 2010, like 15 years.
But people like say Kendrick Lamar's like better than Drake. Better than Jay-Z. I'm like, mate, he's not even close.
Nah, yeah, no way. He's not even better than 50 Cent.
I feel like all Kendrick songs sound the same.
Yeah. Yeah, you said that about The Weeknd as well.
Yeah, he's the worst, mate. All his ones sound exactly the same.
No, but the point
every single one, it's exactly the same. And every single time you release an album, you fucking come over it. You're like, oh my God. I'm like, mate, that sounds exactly the same.
I do like The Weeknd.
The track on his last album.
Yeah, I've listened to The Weeknd for like years though. See, I think in my head I'm like hypnotised. That I'm just like, yeah, it's good. And I'm not even listening to the album. That album is fire.
He's a fraud and all.
Yeah, my highlight of Super Bowl is watching the Americans prepare for it. So whether it's like making cocktails or like filling up the drinks fridges or the breakfast. Yeah, the tailgating. Oh, I'm making my breakfast on the grill paddle pan.
Yeah, they've got so many utensils, mate.
Yeah, the breakfasts are mad.
They've got like blowers, like heat blowers. They've got cocktail makers. They've got grills. They've got fridges. They've got fucking umbrellas, tents.
But there's only like 4 people that go to the party as well. And he's making like 15 double cheeseburgers.
Mate, it's like a full scale event, a whole weekend thing. Like they go tailgating for the weekend to watch the foot. It's like, get a life, man. The lot of you. Like, the people in America not do anything.
But it's like, you look at like the Euros final for England, for instance. Yeah, okay, we probably made it a real big deal, but we don't, like, when you look at the Super Bowl,
but
we don't
you
make
travel to the game a couple hours before, you go to the game, you go out after the game, and you go home.
Yeah, but we're not. But the Super Bowl's every year.
They're in queuing up to get into the stadium like the day before to set their shit up so they can cook and get drunk outside the game. And most of them don't even have tickets to go in.
Yeah. This is over Christmas and stuff. I was adding stuff. One thing that blew my mind. This is now going back. I think it was just the start of the year. Did you watch the Pope and Lucifer's tomb? Have you heard about it?
Yeah, when he opened it.
Yeah. So there's in the Vatican. There's this temple, or a tomb, I suppose. But they concrete it, and it's like known where fucking Lucifer is. So is it 10 years?
No, it'll be every like 50 or 100 years.
Yeah. They have to get a guy, chisel, opens the door, and this thing opens, and you see him go in. He's like absolutely terrified, and you hear either a baby screaming or a sheep. That is mental. It was Christmas Day. It was live streamed, and I heard that, and that was like probably the craziest thing I've ever witnessed.
I know, but you are so anal about ghost stories, mate. I'm not surprised that shit freaked you out.
Oh, but that is like mental, right?
Like, oh my God, there's a baby screaming. It's got to be Lucifer in there.
Yeah, I texted him last month. No, text the Pope last month.
Well,
I texted you like last month, and I was just like, make random one. You fancy going ghost hunting?
Nah, no, thank you.
Yeah,
I've told you that's not happening.
Yeah, nothing. If you were on a quiz show, this is a conversation we had today, and your specialist subject wasn't about watches or cars.
Yeah.
What would be your specialist
World
subject?
War II.
World War II.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
I mean, I think I watched every documentary back to front.
It's not weird because I actually appreciate the fact that you do know your history, but like I don't know many people that would say that.
It's such a fascinating time. I just find it fascinating, like the mindset of the population and like actually the shit that was going on is just I just find mental.
Yeah. So if you could then pick watches or cars, what would your specialist subject be?
Watches obviously, but I do love cars.
Yeah, cars would be a close second.
Yeah. I think the problem with watches is there's so much mechanical knowledge about watches that maybe I don't necessarily have. my finger on the pulse, but I feel like I know a lot about cars.
Yeah, you do know a lot about cars.
Yeah.
Well, you would have seen it hopefully on the vlog. If people are watching the podcast, hopefully they're watching the vlog. You did buy a vintage Range Rover.
Yeah, you see,
we can talk about it because
great idea at the time, but obviously now it doesn't start. So, I mean, actually, after we record this, maybe I'm going to go down and try and get it started, but I think I ran out of fuel.
See, I'm not sure.
Yeah, because it was chugging, and I was like, is that because it's got no fuel, or is that because there's something else going wrong? I don't know.
We've now put fuel in it.
Yeah, no, I know. I don't know what the script is with it, but anyway, it's had a mechanical restoration, apparently, but obviously now it's actually not starting. So.
The funniest story was, we put the video of the vlog up, and I think it was the week after, it was a Saturday. We had a meeting in town to go and sell a guy a watch, and I met you in the morning, we were like, we'll go and get some lunch. So we pulled up to this like lunch spot in Glasgow, feeling like super, super cool.
Oh,
pull up outside.
If anybody knows Glasgow, it was Naked Soup, right? So they do like bagels and soup and Naked Soup, and so like the first day we got it, we were looking cool, we were feeling good. I said, come, we'll take the car down. So it's like this big old Range Rover from 19 canteen, wherever it's from, and it's proper big petrol V8, like. And we pulled up outside, it was fine. Josh and I got the coffees, we came back out, everybody's looking like, yeah, it's cool. Like the
two young guys in a vintage
car, like it's fucking cool, like doesn't matter what you look at it. Anyway, sat and had the coffees, tried to start it. I was like, oh my god. So we just had to sit there and like pretend that we were actually
it was meant to happen. It was meant to not start.
While I was like troubleshooting with the guy who I bought it from, I'm like, mate, massive issue. We're outside a coffee shop and it won't start. So it's got this big double exhaust at the back left. So I'm troubleshooting with the guy, and the guy's like, pull the choke out. Choke lets fuel into the engine so that it like gives more fuel to the engine, so it helps it start. And then so he was like, pull the choke out, foot flat on the accelerator, prime the pump, and then give it 10 seconds and then start it. But obviously your foot's flat on the accelerator, the fuel pump's full out. So I've started it, and he's like, it'll roar to life. So I started, and it went, started, and this big plume of smoke came out the exhaust. And everybody sitting outside in the cafe having their soup and their bagels, and everybody was pure like that. I'm like, we need to get out of here ASAP before this thing fucking breaks. Yeah. Anyway, spin round, see my pal and his sausage dog. He's pure, how you doing, mate? I'm like, mate, I need to go. I can't talk to you because this thing's about to cut out. Anyway, managed to get going, and that was it. And then I was driving at home, and it was chugging, and then it stopped, and I got into the garage.
Yeah, we had to switch cars.
And I had to push it back into the space when it was in the garage. You ever tried to push a fucking 3-ton Range Rover on your own with a pair of slippers on? Fucking murder Polis, let me tell you.
But it is funny because you drive this car and it's the actual attention's from the old boys. The old boys love it.
Yeah, the old boys love it, and young people think it's a good laugh.
Yeah. So we went for dinner and there was four lads in the car, and we had nowhere to go. We just drove it round, and we were just giggling for
some of the best times ever in that car. I can't wait. So the plan is to restore the whole thing. Interior, full wet restoration, and then take it to South France for the summer.
Yeah. What do you want to do to the interior? Because I was also speaking to
tan with tartan inserts in the middle of the seats.
Yeah.
Like a chocolatey tan colour, and then the exterior keep it the same and do nice big black wheels. Replace the headlights, do a little bit of chrome on the outside. Colour match the pillars, and it'll be cool.
Yeah. Because you were talking about changing the colour, but actually you put it on like a Range Rover forum, and
everybody was like,
limited
keep the colour.
edition.
Yeah, it's like a limited colour. You can't get that colour anymore. It's like a triple layer paint or something. They were like, keep the colour. So I think I'm going to keep the colour.
Keep the colour.
Tan on the inside, new headlights, some new chrome, colour tint the pillars, tint the windows, and it should be good.
Yeah. CarPlay screens?
Yeah, CarPlay, one screen, but keep it period correct. I'm not trying to keep it.
Because we do have to drive around, and we do have the 80s music playing out of our phones at the moment. Yeah. But what a laugh.
I know, it is a good laugh. Anyway, should we wrap it up? So I actually want to go downstairs and see if I can get it started.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, thanks guys. That was episode 3.
Episode 3, season 2.
We'll try and get these done as soon as we can, but it's a bit hectic at the moment.
Yeah. Peace.
Good.